Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do a quick camera comparison of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and the Redmi Note 10 Pro. So we have these two devices, so we'll just go to the settings and we'll just show you in case I just want to have a look at this. So you can see about phone. One is the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max on my left, and on my right is the Redmi Note 10 Pro. There is only one difference between these two devices, that being the primary sensor. Now here on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max we have a 108 megapixel Samsung HM2 sensor, f-stop 1.9 aperture. Here we have the Samsung's 64 megapixel GW3 sensor, f-stop 1.79 aperture. Now apart from that, there is only one visible difference. You can see there is a chrome like finish around the camera. Here you can see that this is more of a grey or black color, so that's the only difference between these two devices. So you might be able to see now. So this is a silver kind of or a chrome finishing around the camera, but on the Pro variant it is a black color. So that's the only difference between these two devices, the primary sensor. So many people have been asking us whether you should be going with the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max or the Pro variant. There is a 3000 rupees difference between these two devices. The Pro is priced 15,999 while the Pro Max pricing starts at 18,999. So should you buy the Pro Max for additional 3000 rupees just for the camera? Is it really worth it? That's what we are going to talk about in this video. So before getting started, if this is your first time on this channel, do hit that red subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to get notified of all the videos we publish. So let's begin the comparison. So we'll not be going into detailed comparison because only the primary sensor is different here. So our comparison will be focusing only on the primary sensor of these two devices. So let's first have a look at the video recording. So here is the 1080p resolution at 30 fps with stabilization turned on. So here you can see that the details and also the dynamic range feels better on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max compared to the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Now the Redmi Note 10 Pro has a bit more natural or warmer tones, while it's a bit cooler tones on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. But overall, if you look at the details, it is better on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, and both the devices supports 4K at 30 fps. So these are the daylight capture. So what you can make out from the daylight shots is that the Pro Max has a bit more cooler tones and they are brighter, while the Pro is a bit more warmer in nature. So again you can see that the dynamic range and the details looks good on both the phones, but here the 108 megapixel sensor does bring in a bit more details here. Now this is quite evident when you zoom in. The details are slightly better on the 108 megapixel sensor, but as a result of the larger sensor you also see a bit of noise even in daylight captures, especially when you zoom in. Now here again you can see that the tones are a bit warmer on the Redmi Note 10 Pro, while it is a bit more cooler on the Pro Max. Now as a result of colors being a bit more warmer on the Pro variant, it also feels a bit more natural in terms of overall detailing. Now the Pro Max is a bit saturated, or it cannot be said as saturated, it's kind of boosted colors. Once again the details are slightly better, rather the sharpness levels are slightly better on the Pro Max. Now looking at the close-up shots, here again you can see that the Pro images seems a bit more natural than the Pro Max, where the colors are a bit boosted. So that is quite evident, and here again once again you can see that it is a bit more warmer tone on the Redmi Note 10 Pro, while it is a bit more cooler tone on the Pro Max. Now both the devices did perform really well. Once again the sharpness levels are a bit better on the 108 megapixel sensor on the Pro Max. Now both of these have the telephoto macro sensor, and both produces equally good images. There is no difference, literally no difference. Both are equally good and the best in this price segment in terms of macro photography. Now moving on to the portrait shots, here you can see that the Pro Max was a lot warmer in terms of portraits, while the Pro was more or less accurate in terms of color depiction. Especially the skin tones were a bit better on the Pro than the Pro Max, where the skin tone seems to be a bit too reddish in nature. So that's the portrait shots. Now moving on to the low light, this is one area where the Pro Max does better with the 108 megapixel, allowing more light to come in, and as a result you can see that the low light images are definitely sharper and more detailed on the Pro Max. So in terms of low light experience, the 108 megapixel definitely shows strength. You can see that sharpness levels, detailing, and overall clarity also, the 108 megapixel sensor on the Pro Max does a better job than the 64 megapixel GW3 sensor on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Now overall, if you look at the low light experience, you can definitely say that the Pro Max excels in low light photography. The Pro isn't bad, but you can clearly see that more details and also the sharpness levels are better on the Pro Max. Now finally, the selfie experience here, we feel both did a really good job. There is no clear difference here, both of them are equally good, and no differences in terms of processing or even the skin tones, both are almost same in terms of selfie camera. So even in terms of portrait selfies also, we didn't see any major difference. Now edge detection isn't perfect on either of the devices, there are a few misses, but again selfie camera is quite similar on both the phones. So as you can see from the camera samples we have showed right now, the 108 megapixel sensor does make a difference, especially in the low light where it was more sharper and it had more details than the Redmi Note 10 Pro. So that's one of the difference. Now the Redmi Note 10 Pro also had its own share of good aspects, because the colors were more natural on the Pro, and also the portraits were much better on the Pro than the Pro Max, where it was more of a warmer tone. But overall, if you look at the daylight captures, the sharpness levels and details are slightly better on the 108 megapixel sensor, but not by a huge margin. The only difference where it matters is the low light experience. That's where the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max takes the lead. Now, should you buy the Pro Max over the Pro? That's more of a personal choice. If you're not really worried about the best camera out there, then the Pro makes much better sense, because you don't have to shell out additional 3K. But if you want a really great low light experience, maybe the 3000 is worth. That's up to you to decide whether there is a massive difference for you to spend additional 3000 rupees. But many have been saying that this is just a gimmick, but it's not a gimmick. There is a difference in terms of processing, but that difference is not too high actually, but there is a difference, and this is definitely not a gimmick, the 108 megapixel sensor. It does make an impact, especially in the low light experience. So that is a quick comparison of the cameras on the Redmi Note 10 Pro and the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. So hope this video was useful. Do hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.